Dani Johnson.
98% of the population will end up dead or dead broke by the age of 65.
Dani Johnson.
The question I have for you, is that how you want to be?
Is that the life that you want?
Well, if you look at what everybody else is doing and you live the way they are, then that's what you're going to have.
Why live under the burden of debt?
I say, look at what everybody else is doing and do the opposite.
Dani Johnson.
Welcome to Hour 2 of the Dani Johnson Show. I'm really excited that you're here with me tonight. I don't know if you got to hear from my really close friend, Jeff Usner. He's truly a brother to me. He and his wife are very close family friends to our children, and we are to theirs. In fact, I'm the godmother of a couple of his kids. You got to see his kids. They're absolutely stunning. We're talking about fathers. One of the things that I wanted to encourage you to do, because, you know, we have a big part of the population today that they got father issues. We just do. We all do. And those father issues are, you know, if we were abandoned, I was verbally tormented by the man that raised me, who I thought was my dad, thought was my father. I found out when I was nearly 18 that my mom had lied to me my entire life, and that no, this man that raised me, that verbally abused me, that physically, violently abused me, grabbed me by the throat, shoved me up against the wall so he could cuss me out, scream at me with vile, filthy, wicked, nasty names that he'd be calling me, kick me across the room with his foot. He wore a size 16 shoe. He was 6'10", 350 pounds. He was a huge guy. And honestly, it wasn't until my adulthood, and it wasn't until I forgave him. And it took me 6 years to fully forgive him. It wasn't until I fully forgave him that I saw him as a little child who had been abused by his father. I used to hear the stories, but I used to think they didn't give it hard enough to him because he's so evil. I really judged that man, not realizing that the pain that my father had, caused him to hurt us. I'm not excusing what he did, but my heart was filled with compassion for him. And even though I found out that he wasn't my biological dad, and even though we didn't talk for 6 years, and I met my biological father, and I had more daddy issues at that point, because here my biological father had given me up for adoption and, you know, didn't want anything to do with me. So I had like a double dose of father issues. But I can tell you today, the man that raised me died about a year ago. In fact, I was live on the air when I got the phone call. I'll never forget that. It was right that my phone was ringing and ringing and ringing, and I answered it on a break, and my sister had told me what had happened, and I was like, I just lost it. And I flew to California, and I buried him, and I made sure he had a proper burial, and I made sure that everything was well taken care of, and that today my biological father and I have an awesome relationship, and only because of the power of forgiveness. You know, you and I could be tormented forever about what our dads did or didn't do, or we can choose freedom through the power of forgiveness, because the reality is the mistakes that fathers make is because based on what they were taught. And think about the society we live in. Come on. We have two pictures of men here. We have the babbling idiot who's addicted to video games and junk food, who won't work, that is lazy, that can't think, that he fumbles around on everything. Every commercial makes the man look stupid and the wife look smart, okay? Or we have the other picture. We've got 007. Right? We got 007. And wow, look at him. Oh, he could be like fighting 12 guys and come out without not even a scar or a bruise. And then, you know, after fighting those 12 guys, he's running for like 17 miles. And then he jumps on a helicopter and he's hanging from it. He lifts himself in and he flies a helicopter all by himself. And then wait a second, he could drive a speed. Oh, he's going to drop from the helicopter down on a speed belt and drive that sucker and somehow dodge some bad guys, you know, all in a day. Oh, but wait, then that night he can actually put himself a tuxedo on with his beautiful ripped body, his gorgeous clean shaven self, and you can only imagine what he smells like. Certainly doesn't smell like the reality. Of course he must smell like Armani Cologne, if they make such a thing. They probably do. But anyway, so I mean, these are the two pictures. We got the dumb babbling guy with the big gut who's doing nothing with himself, and then we've got, you know, what is it, Daryl Craig is his name? I don't even know what 007's name is, or this 007. We have a society that has torn men up, made fun of them, or given them this standard of manhood that is so off, that is so wrong, that is so ridiculous. We need our fathers, and we need to encourage them, and we need to love them, and we need to edify them, and we need to honor them, and we need to respect them, even if they're not perfect. Are you perfect? No, you're not. I'm not perfect. We all make mistakes, and that's why the power of forgiveness is so important. We must forgive the mistakes we see them that they made. What about our own mistakes? What about our own disgusting, wicked, nasty hearts that we carry around? We have got to encourage the men that are around us, knowing that they're hurting inside. They feel like failures. They feel like they can't make it happen. Come on, they see the image of a Daryl Craig and go, I wish I looked like that. Oh, maybe my wife would love me more if I did. We live in a society of women that could be so wicked and mean to their husbands. It doesn't help when we are either silent or we're critical. But we can help the men of today's world be true men and true fathers. Joining me for hour 2 is another very good friend of mine who I have watched love his wife, honor his wife, care for his wife and his sons. 3 sons to be exact. 1 that is grown and 2 babies, and he's my age. He's got kids that are my grandkids' age. But Kevin McCullough, you may have heard his name before. He's a nationally syndicated radio show host as well as a television show host. You've seen him on Fox. You've seen him on a number of different news shows, and the list goes on. I mean, Kevin's all over the place. He's an amazing man, one that I respect tremendously, who really has a heart that I think is a good model. And he actually wrote a book not too long ago about men. And so, Kevin, I don't know if you heard this story. I'm sure you did. I don't know if you heard this story about Dwayne Richards, who basically took a paternal leave after his second daughter was born, and he wanted to be home with his girls. He wanted that paternal leave. He wanted to make bonding time with his daughters, and his wife, went back to work after 6 months or what have you, and his wife actually had said to him, basically made a comment that he wasn't going to be able to get the girls ready for wherever it is that they needed to go, and so he set up his camera to take a picture while he was curling or messing with his daughter's hair, and he had the baby strapped to him and a little baby carrier on his belly, and the picture was to say, look, honey, I got it. I can do this. It's okay. I got this handled. And this thing went viral. Kevin, I don't know if you saw the latest, the numbers from on January 9th. These were the numbers: 451,000 likes, 2.3 million shares, 6,792 tweets. Crazy viral. This has gone, and this to me says that America wants daddies that love their daughters and their sons. Real fathers is what it says to me. What does it say to you?
Well, I think that any time a father is expressing love for his kids, especially daughters, I think there's a natural thing that inside of us that goes, that is good, and we need more of that on the planet. And it's interesting, Dani, because I listened to your entire monologue setting up this discussion for the hour, and earlier today, I had the chance to sit down with a man by the name of Dr. Michael Brown, who's written several books, Jewish follower of Jesus, that happens to be very strong on messianic prophecy and some other things. He's addressed in his last 2 books 2 of the biggest heresies the modern church currently deals with. And Dani, you wouldn't believe this, but both of them come out of daddy issues. Both of them were started as a result of people that had bad relationships with their earthly father, and they presupposed that upon their relationship with their heavenly father. And because of that, they're leading people astray. So if dads don't think that they play a huge role in the outcome of not only their children's future, but of the world, all they need to do is understand that very bad things happen when we abandon that position.
It's very true. And especially we have a high divorce rate in our country, right? And recently, I was talking to somebody that had just been separated, and I was encouraging the young father, and I told him, I said, you need to listen to me. Your kids need you. I don't care what she is telling you right now. No one can ever replace you. You are their father, and your words mean so much to them. And the time that you're going to have with them this weekend, make that the most precious special time that they will never forget. It doesn't mean taking them to Disneyland. Give them of your time. Give them of your eye contact. Give them of your words. Tell the girls that they're beautiful. Tell your little boys that God has made them strong and courageous. Tell them how much they mean to you. Let it all out of your heart about how important they are to you. I said, because that matters more than anything. Don't you listen to the woman who's got her head in the wrong place trying to tell you, why don't you just stay away from that? They don't need you. No, they need you. Trust me, I deal with adults that got issues because their fathers. I was an adult that had issues. I probably still have issues from my past being raised the way I was by the father. So the reality is that no one can replace you, Daddy. They need you. They need your encouragement. They need your love. They need your eye contact. And you can do this. We'll continue with more of the Dani Johnson Show right after this.
4 radio talk show hosts in a village called Kadwa. Here's Dani's story.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson, and I'm here with Vida in her tiny little home. This home is the size of many people's closets in the United States of America. We're sitting on a bed, just a piece of sheets or plastic that these beautiful babies sleep on. When we came in, she said she wasn't smiling because she hadn't eaten yet. A mother gives her children whatever food that she has, and she's usually the last to eat. They have nothing. This family has nothing. No water, no food, nothing. Won't you do something? The Bible says that if you ignore the cry of the poor, then you too will cry and be ignored. But if you uphold the cause of these people, you're not asking for nice clothes. You're not asking for video games, new socks and underwear. It'd be great if they actually had a pair. We want to build her a home. We want to bring water, clean, fresh water here. But we can't do it alone. We need you.
Dial 855-916-4673 or go to kingsransom.org. That's 855-916-4673. Do you want to improve your relationships? Do you want to increase your income? Do you want to expand your influence? What if you could find a step-by-step guide to getting everything you want out of life? How much would you pay? Do you struggle with increasing your income or getting a promotion or growing your business? Do you struggle with negativity in your business or relationship or in your finances? Do you struggle with the balance your life has between business and family? Do you struggle with being misunderstood or the lack of motivation in others close to you? What if you could find a book that showed you exactly how you could become wealthy, acquire charisma, power, and influence, and most of all, multiply the success you already have and open the door for more? What if that book was free? Call right now to get your copy. 866-760-8255. Dani Johnson, First Steps to Wealth, is free to you right now. 866-760-8255. Call now, 866-760-8255. That's 866-760-8255. Brooklyn Tabernacle Pastor Jim Cymbala on America's decline in 2014.
And we're in one of the most massive declines, no matter how you try to spin it, in the history of our country. Average church size, the number of biblically defined Christians has sunk by 4 different polling agencies, somewhere between 6.3 to 9% of the population. The statistics are irrefutable. The church is in a massive decline. Pastors are leaving the ministry at $1,500 a month in America, all 50 states, about 1 per state per day. We have to go back to first principles of why are we here to spread the gospel? How can we do it successfully? Only through the power of the Holy Spirit. How can we live Christ-like lives when we spend more time with the Lord?
Will spending time with the Lord save America in 2014? Check out pray2014.com. That's PRAY2014.com and get Pastor Cymbala's prayer focus for this year at no cost. That's pray2014.com. In today's ever-changing world economy and job market, you need a competitive edge that sets you apart from the masses. Whether it's your career, your business, your family, your financial or spiritual future, you can't keep doing the same things you've been doing. It's time for a change. First Steps to Success gives you the tools to remap your internal beliefs about yourself, about money, and about others. You'll learn simple but powerful systems to easily create success in any and every environment of your life, as well as insider business building, leadership, marketing skills, Through a unique experiential learning program, best-selling author, strategic life and business coach Dani Johnson is able to literally transfer her $1 million success skills into her students, equipping them with a step-by-step formula to radically transform every area of their lives. If you're about experiencing your full potential now and not later, then it's time for you to go to First Steps to Success. Go to DaniJohnson.com for all of the details. That's DANI Johnson.com. DaniJohnson.com. DaniJohnson.com.
So you still think you can't get ahead in life because the economy is so stinking rotten?
While you're plopping down $4 for that latte?
What's your problem, man?
Get with the program. It's called DaniJohnson.com.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Fathers. Many women have said, my kids don't need a dad. They're nothing but useless. You know, you're the broad that's part of the problem with our country right now. Yeah, sorry to tell you the truth, lady. You are. You are. You're part of the problem. You are not part of the solution. Men need encouragement just like you do. Men need encouragement to be all that God has called them to be. No one can replace the father position, role for your children. Nobody. Do you hear me loud and clear? Nobody can replace that. No one. Joining me today is Kevin McCullough. Kevin is a father who believes in being present with his children, who loves and adores and cares for his brilliant wife, Amy. Kevin's written a book about fathers, about men. And we're talking about this incredible story that hit on January 6th. And within just 3 days, there was 2.3 million shares of this picture that went out of a father with one little girl strapped to his belly. And he was then doing his 2-year-old daughter's hair. And there was a picture that was taken of it. And this is what's interesting, Kevin. I know you saw this story, but here's what he said, because he basically has a blog, daddydoingwork.com. And he says, I have a dream that people will view a picture like this and not think that it's such a big deal. Like, he was taken by the fact that people thought it was such a big deal that he cares and loves for his kids like that and loves his daughters, that he would do something like that. And he is a manly man. I mean, this guy is ripped. He's beautiful, you know, and there he is in his tank top, like doing the deal. I was like, wow, it's not what you would expect. You know what I mean? You got to see the picture. Obviously, we've got it on Facebook, on our Facebook page. But here's something else that I thought was interesting. He says in a radio show, it says that he said that he was asked what his relationship was like with his father. And he says, I had a wonderful relationship. I'm very close with my dad. I learned everything about being a man from my father, how to work hard, respect women, and how to take care of my children. Kevin, most men don't think that taking care of children is their job.
Well, not only that, I mean, the thing that stands out about what he says in that comment is that we have so much societal data that proves what he's saying is true. If you go into the inner cities of America and you see the crime rates, particularly of African-American youth, and compare that to what is going on in other ethnic communities across the country specifically, what you see increasingly is that there's a lack of connection between an earthly father and their success. Yep. In other words, the single most important fact about whether or not a young boy ends up in prison or not today, according to the jailhouse records and the imprisonment rates that are currently the standard by which we are seeing the statistics be put together, has to do with whether or not they have an actual physical relationship with their earthly father. And as simple and as profound as that may seem, that speaks directly to the issue of whether or not a person chooses to invest in the child that's in their life. And where there are communities where that is not encouraged, or where there are communities where there's permission given for that person to be absent, it has a hugely incrementally deficient effect upon the outcome of not themselves, but of the child coming behind them. And the reason the novelty behind that picture is because it shouldn't be novel. The reason that there's novelty there is because a dad being a dad should be something that everybody immediately recognizes. But we are so starved for it today, we are so discouraged from pursuing it today, that when it actually shows up in a photograph, people go, hey, look at how sweet that is. And it turns into this viral thing.
Yeah. You know, it's so interesting is I believe I think this is shocking some people media-wise. I do. I think for something to go, I don't know what else has gotten this many likes, 451,000 likes and 2 million shares in 3 days. I'd like to know what else has gone that viral. You know what I mean? I mean, that just about broke the internet. You know what I mean? I'm serious.
Well,
I mean, so that speaks volumes to me.
I don't have anything that numbers that degree of shares, but you did a broadcast a few months ago on a young man by the name of Matt Walsh, who had written a blog in defense of his wife's ability to care for their kids and to stay home and to nurture them. Again, another old-fashioned, traditional, manly idea that he would come to the aid of the honor of his wife and kids. But that blog was seen by millions of people as well. And the reason that it did is because it struck such a chord with the heart of what the human experience says. This is good. This is healthy. This is a man defending the honor of his wife and family. We don't see that propagated in pop culture.
No.
We don't see that in television shows. We don't see that advanced in movies.
No. But I got to tell you what I see in my community, the DJC community, our staff, and you know, where we live, we've had more than 100 people move from California to where we're living now, and all kinds of families for jobs or whatever. And I got to tell you what I've watched happen as a fruit of grooming the next generation for success that these families have embraced. What I have watched happen is men really become men, and I've seen this new generation rise up. Jeff being part of that, because Jeff's a little bit younger than I am. But our young people, you know, when I say young, 20s to early 30s, and these fathers like Jonathan Mills, he's got 6 children. He looks like he's 19, only because he's got, you know, a lot of hair on his face. He's just got this beautiful baby face.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, he really does. People think he's my son. But he has 6 children, and people like Zach, who he just lost a son. He just lost his baby, 3-month-old baby just died, but he has a daughter remaining. But what I can tell you, what I've seen in the fathers in my community, in this next generation, is that they do not see their wives as their slaves. They do not see their wives as, hey, this is, you know, and all their wives are home. Okay, their wives are home taking care of kids and homeschooling kids, but they don't see it as, hey, I'm the guy who brings home the bacon. No, as soon as these guys get home, in fact, Zach would strap that thing, you know, that kind of African thing that's really popular. I don't know if you've seen it, but I don't know what you call it, but it's a piece of fabric that wraps around your body, and the baby just sits in that thing. Even at our last company party, he had his son, Zane, strapped to his body, and he was, you know, bouncing around with him and, you know, swaying him to soothe him. These dads that do not have it on them like, hey, that's the baby and it's her job to take care of him. I'm watching my son-in-law change diapers and feed his son and take care of him and take care of his wife. I mean, this new thing that I believe God is doing, he is raising up this new generation of guys that are really involved in fatherhood and not seeing the separation between them and their wife. My job is working outside of the home. Your job is working inside of the home. When I come home, give me my beer, give me my meal, give me my football, give me my Facebook, give me my life. Leave me alone. Get the kids tucked in yourself. That's not the guys I'm seeing raised up right now. I'm seeing men that are getting involved, being real fathers, real heads of households, not lording over people.
Well, we have to be thankful.
Hi, I'm eHarmony.com founder Dr. Neil Clark Warren. When we started eHarmony.com in the year 2000, we never dreamed that by the year 2013 we'd have over 565,000 marriages. A high percentage of these marriages have involved two persons deeply dedicated to the Christian values we commonly espouse. Marriages that have proven to be unbelievably enduring and satisfying. Now, maybe you've never considered eHarmony. Some of you have tried us and didn't find what you were looking for. Whatever your story, I want you to know how deeply committed I am to the importance of maintaining a strong allegiance to everything Christian marriage stands for. If you've been away for a while, we want to welcome you back. We promise to do everything in our power to help you succeed. Come to eHarmony.com and get started today for free.
4 radio talk show hosts in a village called Kadwa. Here's Dani's story.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson, and I'm here with Vida in her tiny little home. This home is the size of many people's closets in the United States of America. We're sitting on a bed, just a piece of sheets or plastic that these beautiful babies sleep on. When we came in, she said she wasn't smiling because she hadn't eaten yet. A mother gives her children whatever food that she has, and she's usually the last to eat. They have nothing. This family has nothing. No water, no food, nothing. Won't you do something? The Bible says that if you ignore the cry of the poor, then you too will cry and be ignored. But if you hold the cause of these people, you're not asking for nice clothes. They're not asking for video games, new socks and underwear. It'd be great if they actually had a pair. We want to build her a home. We want to bring water, clean, fresh water here. But we can't do it alone. We need you.
Dial 855-916-4673 or go to kingsransom.org. That's 855-916-4673. Do you want to improve your relationships? Do you want to increase your income? Do you want to expand your influence? What if you could find a step-by-step guide to getting everything you want out of life? How much would you pay? Do you struggle with increasing your income or getting a promotion or growing your business? Do you struggle with negativity in your business or relationship or in your finances? Do you struggle with the balance your life has between business and family? Do you struggle with being misunderstood or the lack of motivation in others close to you? What if you could find a book that showed you exactly how you could become wealthy, acquire charisma, power, and influence, and most of all, multiply the success you already have and open the door for more? What if that book was free? Call right now to get your copy. 866-760-8255. Dani Johnson's First Steps to Wealth is free to you right now. 866-760-8255. Call now. 866-760-8255. That's 866-760-8255. Brooklyn Tabernacle Pastor Jim Cymbala on America's decline in 2014.
And we're in one of the most massive declines, no matter how you try to spin it, in the history of our country. Average church size, the number of biblically defined Christians has sunk by 4 different polling agencies, somewhere between 6.3 to 9% of the population. The statistics are irrefutable. The church is in a massive decline. Pastors are leaving the ministry at $1,500 a month in America, all 50 states, about 1 per state per day. We have to go back to first principles of why are we here to spread the gospel? How can we do it successfully? Only through the power of the Holy Spirit. How can we live Christ-like lives when we spend more time with the Lord?
Will spending time with the Lord save America in 2014? Check out pray2014.com. That's PRAY2014.com and get Pastor Cymbala's prayer focus for this year at no cost. That's pray2014.com.
Why don't you groom your kids for success?
What's the option?
Letting your daughter hang out with ne'er-do-wells and eventually bringing you a grandchild with a pierced navel?
Don't get a grandbaby with a pierced navel.
Listen to Dani Johnson.
It'll turn things around.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Listen, if you had a bad dad, or you were abandoned by your dad, or you were abused like I was by my father, or let's say I played basketball for 15 years trying to get my father's attention. He had played football. In fact, he had played football for the Rams for a year. He got recruited straight out of high school to play for the Rams a long, long time ago. But the point is I thought maybe I'll get my dad's attention through athletics, and I was an incredibly hard-working basketball player who did pretty good in basketball. But what I will tell you is that he never came to a single game. Nope. When I would score 33 points in a game, he never even cared. Had 100%, several games of 100% from the line. He never cared. All he cared was about his weed, his cocaine, his football, his whatever movies he was watching on TV. And that caused me to be incredibly bitter. I mattered not to him. But that's no excuse. That's not an excuse for you to keep your bad dad issues. We have to forgive. I chose to forgive my father. I had 2 fathers to forgive, because when I was almost 18, I found out that the man that raised me actually wasn't my dad. And then I met my real dad. And when I met my real dad, there was some other issues. He abandoned me. He did. He didn't want anything to do with me. I was a girl. He chose to go with the woman who he got pregnant that had a boy instead. I was the wrong sex. I didn't ask to be a girl. And no way did I ask to be a girl. I think I would have had fun being a guy. Yeah, but in all reality, I had to forgive both these dads. And today, I have an awesome relationship with my Heavenly Father because of the healing that happened with my earthly fathers. And I trust my God in heaven. I do. I trust him more than any other thing, more than any other human, certainly more than I trust myself. He's been so good and so faithful to me. And I promise you, if you have bitterness or resentment in your heart against your father, or you don't trust your father, and you might think in your head, rightfully so, I shouldn't trust him. If you're like me, I was molested by my dad that raised me, violently abused. If you got trust issues with men, look at the relationship that you have with your father. But if you choose to forgive, you can open up your life to a whole new life. The kind of person that you've always wanted to be, that person is deep down inside of you. But we have to forgive the men in our past who have failed us. They're hurting just as much as we are. They are. They feel like failures. In fact, Kevin, I have a question for you. What is your biggest challenge as a father?
What is mine personally?
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty normal one. I think it's time management. And it's an issue of ordering the priorities of my life to line up with what I say they are with my mouth. It's not that I don't have a natural desire to give verbal loyalty and priority to my family. The consistency comes in not letting other things shroud out or cloud out or box out, to use a basketball terminology, those things that I do believe are the most important. And it's amazing, Danny, how much junk can easily begin to occupy your time if you're not vigilant. Waging war against those things that will waste it. And so the goal for me in 2014, as it was similar to 2013, is I want to be a man who consistently and without question helps my boys and my bride understand that they are the earthly priority in my life, and that whatever else has to be put aside in order to do that, that because of the special nature that God has given them in relationship to me is what I will choose by choice to make a priority. Because, again, the society will invest billions of dollars every day to keep me
into distracting
about what
you.
the priorities should be.
Yep, totally. Absolutely. Yep. I was a victim to that 20 plus years ago. At 25, I had a nervous breakdown. And that was because my priorities were jacked. I was working 100 hours a week, and I didn't know my 2 children that I had at home, and my life was miserable in every way. I had a heart attack at 24, a nervous breakdown at 25, and God got me by the neck, and he said, if you can be trusted with Hans and the kids, and you can be faithful there, then I will multiply your time. And it took a huge leap of faith for me to cut my hours from 100 hours a week. I was running 2 companies at the same time, take 100 100 hours a week down to 20 hours a week, and I tripled my income by doing that. God blessed it, and He will bless it in you. That's your goal. I want to see other men and women all over the place that if you shift your priorities to be God's priorities, and family and relationships are much more important to Him than any business that we have out there. He will bless the business as long as we are the parents that we're supposed to be in the home.
In today's ever-changing world economy and job market, you need a competitive edge that sets you apart from the masses. Whether it's your career, your business, your family, your financial or spiritual future, you can't keep doing the same things you've been doing. It's time for a change. First Steps to Success gives you the tools to remap your internal beliefs about yourself, about money, and about others. You'll learn simple but powerful systems to easily create success in any and every environment of your life, as well as insider business building, leadership, marketing skills. Through a unique experiential learning program, best-selling author, strategic life and business coach, Dani Johnson is able to literally transfer her $1 million success skills into her students, equipping them with a step-by-step formula to radically transform every area of their lives. If you're about experiencing your full potential now and not later, then it's time for you to go to First Steps to Success. Go to DaniJohnson.com for all of the details. That's DANI Johnson.com. DaniJohnson.com. DaniJohnson.com.
Hi, I'm eHarmony.com founder Dr. Neil Clark Warren. When we started eHarmony.com in the year 2000, we never dreamed that by the year 2013 we'd have over 565,000 marriages. A high percentage of these marriages have involved two persons deeply dedicated to the Christian values we commonly espouse. Marriages that have proven to be unbelievably enduring and satisfying. Now, maybe you've never considered eHarmony. Some of you have tried us and didn't find what you were looking for. Whatever your story, I want you to know how deeply committed I am to the importance of maintaining a strong allegiance to everything Christian marriage stands for. If you've been away for a while, we want to welcome you back. We promise to do everything in our power to help you succeed. Come to eHarmony.com and get started today for free.
4 radio talk show hosts in a village called Kadwa. Here's Dani's story.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson, and I'm here with Vida in her tiny little home. This home is the size of many people's closets in the United States of America. We're sitting on a bed, just a piece of sheets or plastic that these beautiful babies sleep on. When we came in, she said she wasn't smiling because she hadn't eaten yet. A mother gives her children whatever food that she has, and she's usually the last to eat. They have nothing. This family has nothing. No water, no food, nothing. Won't you do something? The Bible says that if you ignore the cry of the poor, then you too will cry and be ignored. But if you uphold the cause of these people, you're not asking for nice clothes. They're not asking for video games, new socks and underwear. It'd be great if they actually had a pair. We want to build her a home. We want to bring water, clean, fresh water here. But we can't do it alone. We need you.
Dial 855-916-4673 or go to kingsransom.org. That's 855-916-4673. Do you want to improve your relationships? Do you want to increase your income? Do you want to expand your influence? What if you could find a step-by-step guide to getting everything you want out of life? How much would you pay? Do you struggle with increasing your income or getting a promotion or growing your business? Do you struggle with negativity in your business or relationship or in your finances? Do you struggle with the balance your life has between business and family? Do you struggle with being misunderstood or the lack of motivation in others close to you? What if you could find a book that showed you exactly how you could become wealthy, acquire charisma, power, and influence, and most of all, multiply the success you already have and open the door for more? What if that book was free? Call right now to get your copy. 866-760-8255. Dani Johnson, First Steps to Wealth, is free to you right now. 866-760-8255. Call now, 866-760-8255. That's 866-760-8255.
There's just so much that she's done to help people, to help their children face the next generation with success, to declare war on things that tear families apart, and to look people straight in the eye and to tell them how much they mean to her.
There is no one else
like this lady right here.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
What's the most important thing a father must do for their sons and daughters? What do you think that is? Joining me right now, my friend Kevin McCullough, who's a father of 3 and a husband to his beautiful, drop-dead gorgeous and very intelligent wife, Amy. Kevin, what do you think is the most important thing a father should do?
I'll tell you the most important thing that I think, but I'll tell you that after what the data tells us. Studies have been done on this in terms of the best welfare for the child and what's most important for the development of the child. And what the research has shown over the past 2 decades consistently is that the most important thing a father can do for their child is to have a loving, committed relationship to their mother in the bonds of matrimony, living in the same house, and in a daily engaged relationship. If Dad
That's too hard, dude. That's too hard. Really? Come on now. That is hard. That is like, wow, that's hard.
But the difference, Dani,
I know somebody's saying that right now.
But the difference in men that do that and men that don't is the determination between children that end up being criminals and locked in prison versus ones that eventually head up companies.
But Kevin, here's the reality. Here's the reality on this. Who's been taught? Who's been taught? How have they been taught to do that? Okay, the reason why I came out and said, that's too hard, that's just too much, there's no way. Because we live in a society where we've been Disney-eyed, right? Oh, if we marry the right woman, then we can live in the bounds of love and holy matrimony. But man, I married this broad who is just a complainer and a nag. It's worse to live in a house with a leaky roof than it is to live with that woman. And we live in a society that has not trained up men and women to be men and women. We live in a society that hasn't trained the women to be mothers and wives. We live in a society that has not trained the men to be fathers at all. We lack skill on every side, so that even when we hear, okay, well, the kids do better when mom and dad live together and live happy, it's a crapshoot, man. It literally is like being in Vegas for marriage today, because we have not taught the children good people skills, relationship skills, emotional skills. We have not taught the reality of what it takes to succeed in marriage, but instead we treat it like a lottery. So either I got lucky the first time I got married, or I failed the first time I got married, and hopefully the second or third time I might get this sucker down.
Yeah,
so
and in
sad.
reality,
We literally are causing people to fail.
And in reality, nobody's just happy. Every person that receives fulfillment out of a relationship, whether it's with their child or with their spouse or with their business partner or with their friend, it's because they engage in a certain degree of honor and loving and giving to the other person that is self-sacrificial in the process. And so the idea that you're just going to roll the dice and make it happen, that is a crapshoot. Which is why the kids that are in those households where mom and dad are committed to each other and love one another and live together are so much, they have such a huge advantage over everyone else, because they understand what sacrificial love looks like. They've seen it modeled before them. They go into life with that life skill embedded in their brain.
Yep. But what about the kids who come from a divorced family, right?
It's really tough, because the big lie in the society is that we can go our separate ways and it won't have an impact on that child. And what the child ends up needing is a replacement for whatever is missing. So if they live with their father and the mother's not there, and they're a young woman, there's a lot that they're going to miss out on. If they're a young man and they live with their mother and there's no father, they're going to be deficient in a lot of ways in terms of what's naturally modeled. Do I believe God can overcome all of that? Absolutely. But it doesn't mean that it's any less important.
Yeah. In fact, I want to speak to that for a second, because Hans and I have been together for 23 years coming up. It just blows my mind. 23 years this year in just a couple of months. And I got to tell you that the reason there's many times that I wanted out, especially in the very beginning of our marriage. I tried to kick him out so many times. I loved him when we were living together, and when I didn't care that he didn't provide, I didn't care that he didn't help with anything. I didn't care that he didn't lock the door. I didn't care. He was my boyfriend, and sorry to tell you the truth, he was my boy toy. I didn't need a guy to do anything. I was one of those gals that was like, I'm running 2 companies. I got this thing dialed. I'm good. As soon as I got married, Kevin, I wanted him to lock the door. As soon as I got married, I wanted him to provide. As soon as I got married, I wanted him to protect. It was the weirdest, strangest thing. And now when he wasn't that, and mind you, my husband grew up without a dad. He grew up as an abandoned child, kidnapped when he was 4 years old. His mother filled his brain with just spewing about his biological father. And then there was a slew of stepfathers and bad examples that came in, and then bad Christian examples that came in. He had all kinds of father issues. And so he didn't know how to be, he didn't know how to treat a wife. He didn't know how to treat kids. And I was like, get out! Get out! I wanted nothing to do with him. And more worse at the beginning of our marriage. And we've gone through challenges all the way through. In all 23 years, we've had seasons of bliss and earthquakes, tsunamis, and every kind of thunderstorm, lightning storm that you can imagine happening all at the same time. But what I can say is that the thing that has kept me is two things. Kept me home and caused me to press in, to change myself, to change my expectations, to change the way I treated him. And by the way, he became a multimillionaire on his own. So he wasn't the deadbeat that he was in the beginning, but he's a very, very successful businessman today and a very engaged father today. But what kept me was my kids. And a lot of women stay for that reason, but the thing was, because I've dealt with so many adults that have major emotional issues and resentment and bitterness and self-confidence issues that came from divorced homes. And they got all kinds of hardcore judgments against certain people. If it was the dad that was the bad guy in the situation, then they hate men and they can't work with men and they can't live with men. And then they totally mess up their sons. And so I knew that I didn't want to do that to my kids. And so it's like, I've worked on changing me. Change me all of these years. And my husband has done the same thing because we come from bad examples, bad backgrounds. I mean, we should be dead, first of all, number one. Number two, we definitely shouldn't be married. Number three, we probably should be in jail for, maybe trying to off one of the other because of the baggage that we brought. But I'm telling you, God can make all things new, and he can work through whatever problem there is. And what Kevin just said, Mom and Dad staying together.
Brooklyn Tabernacle Pastor Jim Cymbala on America's decline in 2014.
And we're in one of the most massive declines, no matter how you try to spin it, in the history of our country. Average church size, the number of biblically defined Christians has sunk by 4 different polling agencies, somewhere between 6.3 to 9% of the population. The statistics are irrefutable. The church is in a massive decline. Pastors are leaving the ministry at $1,500 a month in America, all 50 states, about 1 per state per day. We have to go back to first principles of why are we here to spread the gospel? How can we do it successfully? Only through the power of the Holy Spirit. How can we live Christ-like lives when we spend more time with the Lord?
Will spending time with the Lord save America in 2014? Check out pray2014.com. That's PRAY2014.com and get Pastor Cymbala's prayer focus for this year at no cost. That's pray2014.com.
In today's ever-changing world economy and job market, you need a competitive edge that sets you apart from the masses. Whether it's your career, your business, your family, your financial or spiritual future, you can't keep doing the same things you've been doing. It's time for a change. First Steps to Success gives you the tools to remap your internal beliefs about yourself, about money, and about others. You'll learn simple but powerful systems to easily create success in any and every environment of your life, as well as insider business building, leadership, marketing skills. Through a unique experiential learning program, best-selling author, strategic life and business coach Dani Johnson is able to literally transfer her $1 million success skills into her students, equipping them with a step-by-step formula to radically transform every area of their lives. If you're about experiencing your full potential now and not later, then it's time for you to go to First Steps to Success. Go to DaniJohnson.com for all of the details. That's DANI Johnson.com. DaniJohnson.com. DaniJohnson.com.
Hi, I'm eHarmony.com founder Dr. Neil Clark Warren. When we started eHarmony.com in the year 2000, we never dreamed that by the year 2013 we'd have over 565,000 marriages. A high percentage of these marriages have involved 2 persons deeply dedicated to the Christian values we commonly espouse. Marriages that have proven to be unbelievably enduring and satisfying. Now, maybe you've never considered eHarmony. Some of you have tried us and didn't find what you were looking for. Whatever your story, I want you to know how deeply committed I am to the importance of maintaining a strong allegiance to everything Christian marriage stands for. If you've been away for a while, we want to welcome you back. We promise to do everything in our power to help you succeed. Come to eHarmony.com and get started today for free.
So, politicians are all like, let me be clear, and I'll give you something you've never gotten anywhere else before.
How's that working for you?
You know what? She's tired of that mess. How about this?
You listen to her.
She brings you hope.
You make the change.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
I normally don't do this, but I feel compelled tonight to do this. If you've been with me for the whole 2 hours of tonight's show about fathers, the importance of them, there's been a lot of statistics thrown at you. There's been a lot of heartfelt messaging that's been thrown at you. And I know that we've talked a lot from the side of me, you know, like me, the kid who was badly abused and abandoned by fathers. You know, my friend Jeff, who's an incredible model father. He just completely blows my mind. We've talked about a lot of things. We've mentioned several books. I just want to give you a list of tools because it really is true. Our society has completely crippled us in every way. I mean, here we spent 12 years, 14,000 hours of schooling from kindergarten to 12th grade, and we don't have a single class on what? I don't know, relationships, communication skills, let's see, emotional skills. How about financial skills? Not a single class was taught to us on any of those things. It really just makes me mad. We seriously are crippling the next generation. Every year, the next generation is getting more and more crippled. So I want to give you some tools, because whether you feel like you're failing as a parent, a father today, whether it's you're failing in the area of providing for your family, you feel like you're failing in the area of loving your wife, you feel like you're failing in the area of loving your children or being present for your children or managing your priorities correctly for your children, I want to direct you into some tools. And here's some tools that I have found that have helped a tremendous amount of people. So you might want to get a pen and paper and write this down. One of which, Kevin McCullough's book, is an important book to get a hold of. He's very passionate about this topic. And the name of that book is The Kind of Man Every Man Should Be. Again, the kind of man every man should be. It's taking a stand for true masculinity. Okay. You can find that book at Amazon.com, like you can find every other book. Okay. Let me give you these tools. First steps to wealth. If you feel like you're failing in the provision department, or you feel like your life is owned by money, first steps to wealth and time secrets. You can find that at DaniJohnson.com. Again, that's DANI Johnson.com. Let me help you. Let me help you in this area. This is my expertise to help you in the area of relationship, your career, and finances. I have a track record that God has blessed my clients tremendously with the wisdom that he's put inside of me that I've lived, not just read someplace and taught. No, everything that I teach is everything that I've lived. And so First Steps to Wealth, there's a free book on our website, DaniJohnson.com. You can download that right now. Another tool, grooming the next generation for success. The music is already here, which means we gotta be shutting down. Grooming the next generation for success. Another very important tool that's going to help you become the kind of parent that's going to raise up kids that are going to be solid in their self-esteem, solid in their vision, a good understanding of money, and many other things. There's a bunch of other tools. Abba's Child, find it at Amazon. The Bait of Satan by John Bevere. These are important things to equip you to be the man, the father that you need to be. We need you, and we're behind you, and we believe in you. God bless you. See you next week.